After a short, brief hiatus, the Scoreboard Addicts are back and better than ever. My man Thomas John on the show. I'm Nick. We're waiting. Rook's on his way, but happy Thursday to you all. Cheers.
Cheers. So good once it hits your lips.
Oh, it's such a spicy meatball. I gotta say the Woodford Reserve cherries in the old fashioned really add a little extra pop to them.
Yeah, I'll always be a Luxardo cherry guy. Nothing against the Woodford cherries. I've had them; they're delicious. The Luxardo cherries is on another level.
Yeah, but they have bourbon in them. Luxardo cherries are just maraschino cherries.
Yeah, but the highest of high end maraschino cherries, like they're not your grandma's, throw it on your Sunday ice cream maraschino cherry. They're refined.
Yeah, but the Woodford Reserve are the not put on Alex's cherry because it'll fucking make them drunk.
I mean, you ever seen a kid drunk? It's hilarious.
Speaking
about drunk children.
Honestly though, his mom is like such a great I love drunk Carissa's top 5 favorite people on the planet. I can only imagine Alex is right up there.
I mean, we're gonna find out at some point. It's all a matter of when.
I just hope he doesn't end up like drunk TJ.
I was gonna say, hopefully he's not like me coming home at, I think it was 15 or 16 years old, blitzed off my face, thinking it was hilarious. My parents did not find it hilarious. I spent the next 6 months punished, but we're gonna find out.
Drunk Carissa
is drunk Carissa. It doesn't take a lot to get Carissa drunk. However, she very rarely ventures into that area, and when she does, it's just no holds barred chaos.
Every time it happens, it becomes like a situation where it's like all of a sudden everything that she never said because she's like that's a TJ thing to say. It's almost like she becomes female TJ. Or she's just like, so we get another shot, and you're like, no. She's like, don't be such a pussy. Have the shot.
Pretty much, dude. I watched her scream up and down Harris for the shot lady, and she just delivered her shots like 2 minutes before that.
She's like, shots.
It was fantastic. It was a great time. I was with my buddy Matt Giobbi. Fantastic time. And then we went back up to the room at like 2-3 in the morning. And she's like, the room's spinning. I can't go to sleep. I'm like, yeah, that's your problem.
She's like, I can't go to sleep. And you were like, hold on, excuse me while I whip this out. And that's how we got Alex.
No.
God. I heard, oh my God, back there.
Dude, my wife and son are just listening to me. And my wife's giving me commentary over the computer. Little does she know, like when I watch a game on TV, I can't hear
her. I heard, oh my God.
The exact opposite of John Cena. You can't see me. I can't hear you.
Pretty much. That's we're gonna go with that.
So I'm watching the Knicks game right now, and again, I think we don't cover basketball not because we dislike any team in particular or because our teams aren't good. It's just I'm not enamored with for me, basketball is the easiest game ever invented. Be tall, automatically better than anybody who is not tall. And I just feel like there is no other sport where there's a prerequisite in some sort of physique other than maybe being strong.
There is kind of a prerequisite, but it's not like you. Because you could be awesome and short, like Muggsy Bogues, right? He was phenomenal at the game.
1 out of a million.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm trying to think of a
If you
short
ask a
MLB.
basketball, you ask about a basketball fan, and they'll be like Steph Curry. I'm like Steph Curry's 6'3". In what world is 6'3" short?
Right.
He's only looked
No,
short because everybody else is 6'8".
Yeah.
I was gonna say most MLB baseball players are above 6 foot.
They are. That's true. But the average height for an athlete in sports, like any sport, Olympic wide, is 6'1.5".
I was gonna say
The average NBA height is 6'6 3/4".
even hockey used to be you can get away with it because skates had 4 inches. So if you're 5'8", no, you're not 5'8", you're 6 foot. You know, but it's even hockey. It's been a while. The Marty St. Louis are gone. I guess Matt Zuccarello would probably be one of the last guys left.
It's getting to the point where they're getting taller, but not freakishly so. Where you're just
not freakishly.
You got to be doing something professional. And then every basketball fan will sit there and be like, "That's not true. There's plenty of really tall guys that suck. Sean Bradley was awful." And I go, "I'm pretty sure somebody paid for him to play basketball. So clearly he must be good at something." And you know what that good thing is he was like 7'3" and he could run without falling down. So somebody paid him to play professionally.
But
honestly,
if you make the NBA, whether it's Sean Bradley or if you're the 13th guy on the bench, those guys are still incredible basketball.
You're better than everybody else in the world. But look, my point being is that you're 7 foot and you can run without falling down. Someone somewhere will pay you to go to school for free. Someone somewhere will pay you to play. Like, it's not like baseball where if you throw a 70-mile-an-hour fastball, you ain't getting paid by anybody.
No.
And if you're 6 foot in baseball or 7 foot in baseball, nobody gives a shit. You could be 7 foot and suck. Well, who was the pitcher? He was like 6'11", but he could only throw like 78 miles an hour. Do you know who I'm talking about? He played for the Yankees for a very short time. He was on the Mets too. And he was stupid tall. He looked huge and intimidating, but he topped out at like 83.
No, I remember.
Oh man, it's gonna torture my soul.
It is pretty crazy the fact that these being a coordinated 7 foot guy is not an easy thing to do.
Right. That's why I said if you're 7 foot and you can run without falling down,
right?
Somebody will.
But seeing somebody
mutually exclusive,
dude, seeing somebody out in the wild, in real life. That's that tall is always it always stops you where you stand because it's just a massive human being. You know what I mean? They're not awkwardly tall. They're when you're an athlete, right? These basketball players that coordinated that we said can run, can dribble, all that stuff. They're proportionately tall where they're just everything is fucking huge, dude. We were at Universal Studios during COVID, so everybody's wearing masks. And this guy walked past us while we were walking around. And dude, at least 7 foot. That athletic, proportionally tall, just a huge monster of a man. And I'm hitting Chris. I'm like, I guarantee you he's a basketball player, but we would never know because guy was wearing a mask. Everybody was wearing a mask during COVID time.
Yeah.
I was like, I guarantee you that's a fucking basketball player.
I told you guys that story about when I went to the Orioles game. I sat at the bar and I sat next to the guy who played in the NBA for 10 years. Did I tell you guys the story or no?
No,
you did not.
I was at the Orioles game for my friend's bachelor party. I think it was before COVID. I was there. Sienna was born, so 2019. It was June. We went down to the Orioles game. It was Cleveland versus Baltimore, and this guy was a huge Cleveland fan. So I was sitting there. I wore a Cleveland hat the whole time. So I'm sitting in the bar having a couple drinks, and he's next to me. He's like, "Oh, is it you're from Cleveland or whatever?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm just wearing the hat. I'm in town for a bachelor party." And I'm just striking up a conversation. I was like, "Oh, what do you like? Why do you Cleveland?" He's telling me he lives in Arizona. He's in town because his stepson's going to Annapolis for Navy Academy, and he's like, I'm like, so why are you a Cleveland fan from Arizona? And you're coming out. So he's like, I worked in Cleveland for a while, and I was like, I figured maybe he just regular job and whatever. Then he goes, he's like, you didn't notice how tall I am because he's sitting behind the bar, I can't tell. Yeah. So he's like, he stands up, and I'm like, holy shit, he was like 7'1". And I'm like, holy shit, dude! I could not have told you. He's like, he's a guy playing in the NBA. I was the Cleveland Cavaliers for 5 or 6 years. He wasn't like a major star. He has a couple minutes average per year, but he was big enough and good enough to play in the NBA for I think it was 6 or 7 seasons, maybe 10 seasons, something like that. And I'm like,
actually, that guy drives a nice car and lives in a nice house. So
yeah, and he's like, I live in Arizona now. I'm retired. He's like, it's great. I'm like, holy shit. And I had no idea. I'd never heard of him, nothing. And if it wasn't for him sitting at the bar, I probably never even known or him saying it to me. If he never got up, I would have no idea. And you're right. When you stand next to someone who's 7 foot tall and you're 5'8" like me, it's I have a picture of it. I gotta find it. I look like a little person next to him.
Legitimately though, like it's funny with I would say a lot of sports. Football, it's easy to not like know somebody. You're a pro athlete, and it's like, oh yeah, it was the tailback for. It's like, okay, great. I had no idea.
Hockey's a lot easier.
See, hockey, I'm more of a fan of. I would say so I could pick up people up better.
I would tell you right now, if Tom Brady was sitting next to you, you'd know who he was.
Yeah,
most people, if fucking McDavid was sitting next to them, they would have no clue. I was at a bar with all of the Rangers, okay? Like literally a table of about 8 New York Rangers in Nashville. I had no idea. My brother-in-law is standing in front of me. He's looking over my shoulder. He goes, "Oh my God, it's the Rangers." I was like, well, first of all, you're 30-something years old and they're like 22. Calm down, brother. Second of all, where?
That's another weird dynamic. That's another weird dynamic, bro. Like when you're a kid, it was if you're like under the age of, I want to say like 15, as a guy. As a girl, you can get away with it older for obvious reasons. Every guy likes attention from women.
As a guy, you're watching Olympic volleyball.
Dude, I'm just like
in volleyball, and you're rooting for Australia and Brazil.
Yeah. Just saying, like right up until like I would say 15, you could run up to a pro athlete and be like, "Oh my God, I'm such a huge fan," and it still won't be like creepy. It'll be cute and stuff like that. But when you're a 36-year-old man, and you run up to a 24-year-old kid, and you're like, "Oh my God, dude, I'm such a big fan. I love you." And it's like, "That's cool. You're my dad's age, right?" And it's like, "Oh, fuck you, kid." You're gonna walk away.
Is it okay to run up to your old heroes? Like if I saw Bernie Williams, I might cry. Like if I met Bernie Williams, I might cry.
Do you think Bernie Williams is at the stage in his career where he appreciates getting recognized?
Yeah, I think so. If you walk up to Anthony Volpe and we're like, "I love you, dude," that's fine.
Nah, fuck that kid. I don't think I've had a favorite Yankee since I was old enough to be older than Yankees.
No, I'm just saying. I know people who are probably like that would be like, "Oh my God, Anthony Volpe's really gonna go talk to him." Like, "Hey, bro, I love you." Like, I don't know. I think it's weird at that point. He's like a 21.
If I saw a pro celebrity, I literally would just be like fist bump. Like I told you guys that Marshall Plumlee was in my unit, right?
Yeah, I remember that. You told me that.
So Marshall Plumlee used to play for the Knicks. He used to play for the Timberwolves. No, the Bucks. He played for the Bucks.
And he played at Duke.
And all his brothers are in the NBA, and they're all like 7 foot. And he actually did ROTC when he was at Duke, and he commissioned into the New York Army National Guard because he was playing with the Knicks at the time. So he was like, "Oh, I'll just be in the National Guard because you can do that." And I go to the rifle range one day. We're shooting pistols that day, but I go to the gun range, and he is in the ammo shack handing out ammunition. So like I'm cool with, like I don't know him like that. This is the first time I'm meeting him. He's a lieutenant. I'm a sergeant. And I was like, "Hey, what's going on, sir? Nice to meet." Everybody gets introduced. You don't go up to like somebody in your company and you don't know people. That's weird. It's like I'm sure you at your firm, everybody at your firm, everybody at your garage, like you know everybody. So if you don't know somebody will introduce you so that you do know them. Mm-hmm. So somebody's like, "Yeah, this is Lieutenant Plumlee." I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you." I'm like, where are you at these days in the NBA, right? You play in the NBA, right? And he's like, yeah. We're chatting. He's like, "Yes, aren't blah, blah, blah." We're chatting, and I go, "So when are you going back?" Because in my mind, I'm like, he's going back to the NBA,
right?
Because at the time he was the G League or something like that. And he goes to me, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm getting out." And I'm like, "You're getting out? Like, what are you gonna do for a living? Like, as a job?" He's like, "I'm gonna be a soldier." I'm like, "In the Army? The fuck is wrong with you?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So what are you gonna do in the Army?" He's like, "I'm gonna be infantry." I'm like, "Are you fucking high, sir?" All due respect, I told him flat out. I go, "All due respect, sir. You can't be combat arms, man." And he goes, "Why not?" And I go, "Well, a couple things. One, like I'm a combat arms soldier. I'm field artillery." And I told him, I was like, our jobs are so crazy back-breaking work that we're all crippled at the end. I was like, "You're 7 foot. If you have a desk job, you're going to be crippled at the end just from running. Just like all the NBA players have to walk around with a fucking cane because they're just too tall to exist on the planet Earth as human beings. Yeah. Like we weren't supposed to be that tall."
Yeah.
I was like, "So now you're talking that you want to be airborne, you want to be an infantryman." I'm like, "Dude, you're going to be active duty as an infantry officer. That means you got to be airborne. You don't fit out the fucking door to jump out of the plane, man." I was like, after that, you're probably going to have to go Ranger if you want your career to extend beyond just being a regular fucking captain and go beyond captain in the infantry at least. And he's just like, okay, I think I could do all that stuff. I'm like, I am just a natural fucking instinct. If I'm the enemy and I'm looking at a group of soldiers and one of them is a head taller than everybody else, that motherfucker's getting shot first.
That's how
Right?
like he's
About it. You look at a group of 15 guys, you see 15 people walking in a row. They are all your enemy. Who are you killing first? It's like jail, the biggest motherfucker you find.
Yeah, but you know what? You don't kill him first. You wound him. And you lure other people out to try to save him. Then you kill him.
And then he's too big to save.
He's too big to save, bro. Like
Listen,
6 people just died trying to drag you away.
Shooting a big person is like shooting a fucking rhino. You get it done the first time. Don't take any chances that you're just going to make them angry.
Yeah, you don't want to piss it off.
pretty much. It's like sitting there pissing off Yokozuna. Like, you ever see the movie Ninja Assassin? It's an amazing movie.
No,
it's phenomenal. Anyway, he stabs this giant Yokozuna looking guy in the neck, and the guy looks at him like, "What?" and pulls the knife out and stabs him with it. I think Kevin Nash did that in Punisher. Great movie.
He gets stabbed here and it takes out, turns around, stabs him.
The hilarious part in that scene is what's his name? Thomas Jane actually accidentally stabbed Kevin Nash.
I know. Look at this. Who are you killing first? Mind you, they all graduated from Ranger School. They're all killers.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Lieutenant Plumley. Cool dude, but he was the one that told me, he's like, dude, basketball is the easiest game in the world. He's like, I'm 7 foot, so I got to play in the NBA. I suck at basketball, like as far as skills are concerned, but I'm 7'2" or whatever, and I got to play in the NBA because I'm 7'2". And I was like, I fucking knew it.
So what's fucked up is you're just asking to get taunted too.
Well, I want to bring up a debate because you were talking about height, small guys versus tall guys. And obviously, Jalen Brunson's not like the biggest guy in the NBA, but he's still obviously taller than us. I think he's still probably 6'1". The Candace Parker, she does the NBA on TNT, and she had made a statement about how the New York Knicks won't be able to win with their number one player being a small, basically being a point guard, as opposed to being taller, Jokic or Giannis. Like, last few teams win championships have had that big guy, someone who's not, even with Kawhi, he was the number one, but he wasn't, he's not a point guard. So her argument was whether or not you could still win with a small, and people were like hammering her, killing her, because they're like Steph Curry is a point guard, like he's been the number one,
right? And
then her argument against it was that, well, he's an anomaly because he could shoot from anywhere in the gym, basically. But I mean, in the NBA, recent NBA, I feel like the game has changed a little bit where it's more about the 3-point shooting with the analytics and stuff, but you're still seeing these teams that are big men who are still winning, like Giannis, Jokic.
But it's different, right? It's not the same league. It's not the same thing that like how Shaq played in the sport, because there was physicality in the NBA. Yeah. So it's when I hear that argument, like, of course it's going to make it easier, but that you can't dominate physically anymore. Like, you literally can't.
Yeah, because you'll get you can't like just bang around with your elbows.
Yeah, that's like the crazy part. Like, Shaq made a living just beating everybody's face and just getting in your kitchen and banging bodies, and it was people were flying everywhere when Shaq went up to the boards, right? It just was the way it was. Listen, the height's going to give you an advantage, and like we said, if you're a coordinated, if you're shooting and dunking, you know what I mean, and you can run the ball up and down the court, yeah, it's going to give you advantage. Like, being a huge person in any sport is going to give you an advantage.
Yeah.
But I think making a statement like you need that when somebody like Steph Curry does exist, I think he's not the exception to the rule. He's the whole point to it. He's like, no, that's the proof. That's all you need. Yeah.
He's the new standard.
Yeah. And the thing is too, with the big men now, the big men aren't like the big men back then. Like you were saying, a lot of Jokic shoots the three, like with no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Even Giannis developed a 3-pointer. Julius Randle, he's bigger and he's shooting threes for the Knicks. So it is different than back then to say,
Well, I'm watching the Knicks right now. They're up 46-29 against Jokic now. So seems like Jalen Brunson didn't give a shit. Jalen Brunson's actually 6'2", Kawhi Leonard is 6'7".
Who's that? Who's 6'7"?
Kawhi Leonard is 6'7".
Oh, so he's got 5 inches on him. He's still bigger.
He's a big dude. Yeah, and of course Steph Curry's 6'3".
Which isn't small. It's so crazy to say he's a small guy.
Yeah, because look at the peripherals. When everybody else is 7 foot, you're gonna look tiny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
I would say, with regard to your question, Ant, I would say that Brunson, you could sit there and say, I'm a firm believer that sports are cyclical. There's nothing new that happens in sports. It just that you do this, then you do something different. It goes here, it does that for a little bit while everybody else catches up, and then you come back down and even out again. Right?
Yeah, true.
So
everyone shoots a 3 now. They're not as
now everybody shoots a 3, and the defenses are built to stop you from shooting the 3. So what's going to happen is, as defenses catch up to offenses, they're going to start driving the lane again. Once the centers become too small and too skinny to defend posting up, then they're going to go back to having. And it's the same thing with football. We saw it happen in football, right? In football, initially, right in the early 2000s, everybody switched to 3-4 defenses, right? Where you had 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers because the Steelers were running it and they were killing everybody. There were a few teams running 3-4 defenses, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God. In the 80s, the 46 with the Bears became crazy, where they started running a lot more nickels with hybrid safeties and linebackers. And what are we doing now? The same fucking shit, where we're back to 46s with 4 down linemen and 6 DBs and fucking 1 linebacker, or maybe two linebackers, and one of those linebackers is the size of a safety.
Yeah.
So like same thing with basketball. At some point, you're going to start shooting 3s left and right, and then defenses are going to catch up, and you're not going to get away with it because you're going to be trying to shoot 3s from fucking half court.
Yeah.
Then you'll go back to posting up and driving the lane. Like,
yeah. I
but
agree.
by the way,
go back to it. Yeah.
When you said
the problem is the NBA is soft compared to like where it used to be, where you could they were literally like fighting each other down low and don't call foul. Like it's not like that.
When you said Jokic shoots the 3, I immediately thought of The Sixth Man with Marlon Wayans, where he's like, what's the big Russian kid's name? You never shoot the 3. Yeah. Never.
Now you got to shoot the 3. Jokic, man.
Oh my gosh. But we move on. We move on. Big week this week, and let's talk about it. So the MLB Hall of Fame list came out for 2024. And we've got 3 inductees going in 2024 to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame at excuse me, I take it back. I digress. It is not called the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. It is the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Major League Baseball has nothing to do with the Hall of Fame. Let me just put a disclaimer about that right now. All right. And that's Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer going in to the National Baseball Hall of Fame as voted on by the Baseball Writers Association of America. What are your thoughts, guys? Look, you look like you're pensive about this. Tell me what you're thinking.
No, I actually like the Adrian Beltre guy. He was always one of my favorite non-Yankees. So he was always like funny with the antics in the field with the Rangers. He always like did something stupid or funny, and he hated people patting his head. I know that's besides the point, but he does have the accolades to be there, to be a Hall of Famer, definitely.
Also a Mariner.
He was a Mariner too. He was a Red Sox for a little bit too. I think the Red Sox for a little bit too.
Was he?
Yeah, he was like a season. The one season I didn't like him. Because I always enjoyed watching him play. I always thought he was a really good ball player. So I'm okay with that. Todd Helton, I think it's kind of like, I think you get into like the Hall of Okay. No offense, Todd Helton. And I recently saw, I gotta find the graphic again, but maybe when TJ goes, I'll find it. I'll bring it back up. But Joe Mauer, I get it. He's an offensive catcher, but he actually switched over to play first base in a lot of games DH. And you look at his numbers, they do not compare to Don Mattingly, and Don Mattingly's not in the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to find the graphic, but I'll let you guys talk. I'll find the graphic because I got to find that again.
Yeah, Adrian Beltre, easy choice. No problem. Yeah. I think he got in with like 95% voting too. 95.1, 366 votes. And then you get the fall off between Todd Helton got 79% of the vote and Joe Mauer got 76% of the vote. And you know what? Before we even make an argument for either one of those guys, right? Like you said, the Hall of Okay, we can have that argument. We can have that discussion. But when you have Alex Rodriguez sitting at 34%, just everybody go fuck themselves. Todd Helton couldn't tie Alex Rodriguez's shoes on a bad day.
And people will bring up steroids. Steroids don't make you hit
I
the
don't
ball.
want to hear it. This guy was he was great on both sides of the ball. Like, we're through it, right? We're past it. You put somebody in that was accused of steroids already. So we're through the fucking threshold.
Failed the test.
Right.
Yep.
Tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. That was David Ortiz. I don't give a fuck if it didn't count because A-Rod didn't fail. The time that he got suspended for that year, he didn't fail a drug test. He did not fail a drug test. His name was on a piece of paper in a steroid distributor's office, and they suspended him for a year. And they go, "Oh well, he sued the Yankees and he sued Major League Baseball because they weren't doing it. The union should have stopped it because the agreement of the union said that I got suspended for 50 games for my first failed test. He never failed a test, and they were like, "We're suspending you for 2 years." That was the first fucking thing out of their mouths. He never failed a test.
Right.
His name was caught up at that biogenesis place, but he never took a test and failed to that point. The previous test that he failed was not supposed to count against him because it was supposed to be signed, sealed, and delivered. That was it. It was never supposed to be released. It was just a poll. It wasn't a test to find out if people were cheating. And then you got guys like Bonds, who's arguably the greatest baseball player who ever lived, who never failed a test. Oh, well, his head got bigger. I don't know if we were on the air when I did it, but at some point I took this hat off and I opened it up one more button because I'm older than I was when I bought this, and it's tighter now that my head is bigger. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Barry Bonds didn't do HGH. I'm just saying is people's bodies change as they get older.
You can't assume and then pass judgment on an assumption.
You can't assume and pass judgment. And again, he still hit 40. He was still 40-40 before he ever got big. Ever. Yep. He was a Hall of Famer at 9 years of service. He was a Hall of Famer.
What did he have? 2 or 3 Silver Slugger awards when he weighed like 136 pounds?
Something like that. But still, here's my deal with you, and I agree with you both that Beltre in 100%, Gold Glove defense, a great hitter, a great personality.
I was going to say a great personality for the game. You know what I mean? He definitely represented what it was to be in the MLB at that time, right?
And my problem with Helton and Mauer, and this is the question that I always ask of everybody, whenever you're talking Hall of Fame, was that person top 10, top 5, top 10% of the people at their position in the time frame in which they played? And would the game be missing anything if they never played at all? And in the case of Todd Helton, if he never played baseball, I couldn't give a shit less. And somebody would say, well, he's the greatest player in the history of the Colorado Rockies. That is like being the skinniest kid in fat camp. It really means absolutely nothing to me. It means nothing to me that he's the greatest player in Rockies history. Like, okay, great. He was the Rocky that represented the Rockies in the All-Star game every year because every team has to have a representative.
So then he should go in the Ring of Honor, and that's it. That's what
he means nothing to the sport of baseball and everything to the Colorado Rockies.
Correct.
If we had relegation in baseball like they do in soccer in England, the Rockies would have been relegated to the minor leagues years ago. The Rockies and the Tigers and like 6 other teams would have been relegated to a minor league years ago. The Royals, so to be the greatest Rocky of all time, I mean, it just good for you, I guess. Not really something I'd hang my hat on. If you put him on any other team in the league. What's up?
So just to go on the top, when you're saying you're top of your league or when you're playing. So he played for 17 years, right? How many top 10 MVP votes do you think he got in those 17 years?
0.
TJ, you want to take a guess? Higher than 0.
1.
He got 3 out of 17 years. So that's 14 years where he's outside of the top 10.
I'm not saying top 10 of everybody. I mean top 10 of your position.
Your position. I got you. I'm still saying.
I'm talking about for a duration of time.
Top of the league, though. Too. Like,
well, I mean, it's hard to say. That's hard to say. Well, if you're the best third baseman if you're the best third baseman in the league for 10 years, but you just never win an MVP, or never get close to winning an MVP, you're still the best third baseman for 10 years.
I think you're both right. I think you're both touching on something, though, that either one could validate you because let's say I'm a pitcher, right? And I have a hot 3 years I get 2 Cy Youngs in those 3 years, and for those 3 years, I carry a fucking sub-2 ERA. Something ridiculous, where everybody in the MLB knows my fucking name for 3 years straight. And then I go off and I have maybe I'm the 4th starter on a random team for the rest of my career, throw up average numbers. At least you played a role in the history of MLB where for a time period you were the fucking guy. And that itself gives you that kind of extra leg up, maybe if your numbers quite aren't there. Like, yo, dude, everybody, from 99 to 2002, everybody knew this dude's name. He was anybody ever, you know what I mean?
That's the bird, isn't it? That's the bird, Mark Fidrich, right? His first 2 years in Major League Baseball, he's a 2-time All-Star, AL Rookie of the Year, and AL ERA leader with all his antics. And then after those 2 years, he's a bum. You know, I mean, he still finished his career with a 3.10 ERA, but I mean, in 4 years, 5 years, 76 to 80, he went from stud to nothing, and then out of baseball. You know, but I just feel like
the Mets to every one of their starters.
Todd Helton, an outstanding baseball player, but again, as far as what he means to Major League Baseball as a fan. To me, if you don't have any influence on the game, are you Hall of Fame worthy if nobody gives a shit about you?
No.
You know what I mean? Like if Todd Helton never played baseball, I wouldn't care. Like I didn't lose.
My son's having a good time. Yeah, dude, it's the simple baseball. I feel like it's easy to keep simple because something like the eye test means a lot in a sport like baseball. Right. So and regardless of what these fucking analytic geeks want to say, like the eye test matters. And if you line up like 30 dudes and Todd Helton's among them and you pick 2 guys to be captains and start picking off teams to play a pickup game of baseball, Todd Helton is not going first 20. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
You'll probably get a third baseman or shortstop to play first base.
I'm
not saying that your team has to be winning and you have to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, RIP, and Wheaties boxes. I'm not saying that because if you look at someone like Ernie Banks is an amazing player as well, and his team never won a damn thing. Ted Williams, his team never won anything. Mike Trout, his team never won anything. Shohei Ohtani, their teams never won anything, but they still mean a lot to the game of baseball because of their overall skill level. And Todd Helton just. He existed. I knew who he was. I'm a big baseball fan. I know Todd Helton. I know who he is. Yeah. I knew he was a very good hitter. But ultimately, there were 5, 6, 7 other first basemen in Major League Baseball. A third of Major League Baseball was more important than him at the position during his career.
Yeah, and you could make the argument if you put Todd Helton on the Yankees. I still don't think it helps his chances.
I think he's Tino Martinez.
Like that's what I mean. Like. It doesn't, because a lot of people like to use that shit like, oh, well, if you played for the fucking Yankees, like, no, it doesn't really matter because at the time he played, he'd never be the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Like, there's multiple Hall of Famers on that team, and you're not cracking, you're not touching top 5.
He was a very good baseball player for the Rockies.
Absolutely. Listen, his numbers are fucking great. His numbers are there. You know, you're not going to sit there and say that he's not a tremendous baseball player. He's just like the fucking Hall of Fame means something. It's not just like, hey, we got to put somebody in this year, right? Like, I'd be fine if you went 4 years without putting anybody in. I feel like that makes it even more special for the guys that are already there.
But again, ultimately, and I'm not mad that Todd Helton is in because I think the Hall of Fame is a joke.
But I couldn't care less if Daddy's in. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean,
I'm not sitting here like, oh, finally justice prevails. Like, no.
I found the numbers between Joe Mauer and Don Mattingly.
Let's hear him.
Another guy that, like, again, if Joe Mauer never played baseball, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, he obviously had more. So he had more games than Mattingly, but
I really anticipated Joe Mauer being like Yadi Molina, being like Posada, but with good solid defense, and it never happened.
Well, Yadi Molina is going to get in the Hall of Fame too because of the media loves him, and even though
Yadi Molina is again probably top 5 catchers during his entire career until like the last 3 or 4 years that he played.
He's going to get in though. But anyway, so here we go. Hits Mattingly has 2,153. Maurer has 2,123. So pretty comparable. Home runs, Mattingly has 222. Maurer has 143. RBIs, Madden has over 1,000. That 1,099. Maurer has 923. Stolen bases goes to Maurer. Batting average, 307, 306. So pretty much the same. On base percentage, one goes to Maurer, 388 to Mattingly's 357. But slugging percentage, 471 for Mattingly, 439 for Maurer. OPS 830 to his 822, so pretty much the same thing. And then All-Stars, both are 6-time All-Stars, both won MVPs. He has more batting titles, he's 3. And he has more Silver Sluggers, 5-3. And then he has 3 Gold Gloves, while Mattingly has 9.
So hold on, and you have to look at this. How the Silver Sluggers that Maurer got, what position was he playing when he got them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that, but
He's probably playing catcher.
Probably catcher, yeah.
Which means absolutely dick, because Mattingly played first base, where throughout history, first basemen hit better than catchers.
Yeah, but you got to think about it too, though. Maurer played first base for like the second half of his career.
No, I got that. But what I'm saying is that everybody will sit there and say Maurer deserved to be in because his hitting skills as a catcher were incredible. Yeah, but he only played half his career at catcher.
Yeah, and then he started playing first, and then he started playing DH because he couldn't play first base.
Right. So it's like, okay, great. You're giving him credit for the first 5 years of his career. What about the rest of the fucking time where he didn't do that?
You're right.
Yeah.
If Shohei Ohtani never throws another baseball again, are you going to put him in automatically? Like, yo, well, he was a pitcher and a hitter.
But basically, that's basically what I'm saying. Like, if Shohei Ohtani has a mediocre career for the rest of his career, he probably still goes to the Hall of Fame just for what he meant to the game while he was on top of the world for 3 years. He was
both.
He was everything. Yeah. He was everything for 3 years. But if you're going to sit there and compare, well, he was a great hitter. Well, then take away all of his hitting as a first baseman and only look at it as a catcher. And Thurman Munson belongs in the Hall of Fame more than Joe Mauer.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my mindset. Is like you're looking at his career as a whole and saying his entire career was as a catcher. It wasn't.
And right. I feel like catchers more now are hitting than they were back when Thurman Munson was doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, no, not necessarily. If you look at guys like Yogi Berra and Roy Campanella, at that point, catchers were coming on. Carlton Fisk, gotcha. and what's his face?
Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench. Thank you. I'm sorry. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, baseball God strike me down. I forgot Johnny Bench's name.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Those guys probably. Yeah, I guess it wasn't.
I mean, they're outliers, right? But they started the trend.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Cal Ripken Jr. being 6'3" playing shortstop. He started the trend. Before Cal Ripken Jr., everybody was like 5'3" playing shortstop.
Yankees like Tony Lazzari back in like the
fucking Phil Rizzuto playing fucking 5'5" playing.
Oh, Phil Rizzuto, something of Tony Lazzari was short too though. Back in
shortstops weren't big.
Well, he was the second baseman, Tony Lazzari, but
yeah.
Shortstops weren't big, and they didn't carry the team in fucking hitting.
They didn't hit, and they weren't big.
And you have like
Cal Ripken changed that
now. Cal Ripken walks in, and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm going to reinvent this game.
Cal Ripken, shit." Let's talk about that. I'm moving on. Yes, if you're going to put in Joe Mauer, put in fucking Donnie Baseball.
Thank you.
And we drive on. So the reason I segued that way is because I saw something on Facebook or Twitter today, excuse me, and it said something along the lines of, if Ray Lewis isn't available, who's the greatest linebacker ever? And then somebody said, I think you mean Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand your love and adoration for Lawrence Taylor, but the term linebacker is a very loose term when we're talking about what you do on the field. So if we're talking about a middle linebacker, what the middle linebacker does on a field of football is an entirely different job than an outside linebacker, all right? And a middle linebacker is the quarterback of your defense.
Yeah.
While an outside linebacker, and I will always say that Lawrence Taylor reinvented the position of outside linebacker, but to sit there and say that he holds more significance as a linebacker, because technically speaking, as an outside linebacker who's a pass rusher, because he couldn't stop a fucking pass from being thrown other than tackling the quarterback worth a goddamn.
Yeah, he was pass rusher. Yeah.
He's a pass rusher, which changes job. They don't call him linebacker anymore because a linebacker does it all. They stop the run, they stop the pass, and they rush the quarterback.
Yeah, back then they did. They were linebackers.
Well, back then they did, except for him. He rushed the passer.
No, I know, but he was technically a linebacker.
I'm not saying he in today's world he would still be a linebacker.
Yeah, but
when you're talking about a linebacker, who the best linebacker of all time is, for me, middle linebacker is the linebacker position. Because you're not just doing your thing out there worried about you. You're making checks. You're adjusting the defense. You're moving people around. You're calling audibles on the fly. And you're playing your position. Now, I don't like Ray Lewis. He murdered somebody and got away with it. But to say that Lawrence Taylor is better than him when he really only did one thing for himself, and people are like, well, he had more effect on the game than anybody. You wouldn't know the effect that Ray Lewis had on the game because he's the quarterback of the defense. That's like sitting there saying that Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are the same because they can throw a football the same distance. Yes, but you don't know the checkdowns that Aaron Rodgers is making. You don't know the adjustments he's making at the line of scrimmage. You don't know the adjustments he's making in the huddle. You have no clue. You don't know if he's telling his offensive lineman, yo, just let this guy loose and I'm going to do something else. We don't know these. All we do is see the product on the field.
I get what you're saying. He did more than Lawrence Taylor did, but Lawrence Taylor was fucking awesome. Like, he crazy if you think.
I agree. He changed his position. His position is looked at differently because of the way that he played.
Yeah.
He's not a better linebacker than Ray Lewis.
Well,
he's a better pass rusher.
Like, he's able to.
I'm just saying overall, what you need from the linebacker position is what Ray Lewis brought to the table.
I don't think you do Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson and then do like Ray Lewis
it's like saying that Randy Moss is a better wide receiver than Tom Brady is a quarterback, and saying that because Randy Moss is a better wide receiver than Tom Brady is as a quarterback, that Randy Moss is more important.
I got you. I get what you're trying to argue, but in my eyes, Lawrence Taylor is still the best.
A middle linebacker is the linebacker position.
I got you. I understand. I get that, but I still think Lawrence Taylor's better than him.
I mean, you can think that all you want, but Lawrence Taylor couldn't do 95% of the things that fucking Ray Lewis did. Lawrence Taylor was too busy smoking crack to do the things that Ray Lewis did.
I mean, they're both not the best people off the field.
I'm just saying, like, Lawrence Taylor could rush the passer, and that's it. That's all he did. And he did it at a prolific level and changed the game of football. Absolutely. But that's not what the linebacker position was.
Just to give a quick update on this hockey game. Carolina playing New Jersey. Carolina scores a goal to go up 3-0. The Devils pull Nico Dawes and put Vanacek in net and then challenge the call on the ice saying that the puck was touched with a high stick. So they already pulled the goalie and then they're like, all right, now we'll challenge. It's the first time I've ever seen that. And honestly, I think the Devils just got a dose of the Rangers because it looked like a high stick. The puck comes in. Stahl tips it kind of down to himself, but Stahl's a pretty big dude, like 6'2", 6'3". He touches the puck up above his shoulders, and they call it a good goal.
Not Mark.
No, not Mark, not Eric. Come on.
There's like 60 of them, man. They're like the plumbers.
I know.
Jordan.
Yeah, there we go. Jordan Stahl.
He's 6'4". He's a big dude.
That's what I mean. But touch the puck. Devils has got a taste of the Rangers. But I just wanted to interject with I've never seen that. Like, hey, we know we're going to challenge the play on the ice, but either way, we're pulling Dawes. Get the fuck out of the net.
Well then,
you've seen enough.
But yeah, I just feel like as far as your effect on your team, effect on the game, Ray Lewis, because he's the captain of his defense, and was a member of one of the greatest defenses of all time, I would say is a better linebacker because what Lawrence Taylor brought to the table was not a linebacker job. It's like saying that Jamal Adams is the greatest safety of all time because he has the sack record. That's not what safeties do, man.
We'll do a poll later, see what people think.
We're in New York. They're going to say Lawrence Taylor because we're in New York.
I know. But wait, speaking about football, we got
Lawrence Taylor is the greatest outside linebacker of all time. I'll say that.
All right, that's fine with me. We got Championship Sunday coming up, boys. Bum, 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 bum.
Dude, Is the fix in? Is the fix in?
100%. Ravens, Niners, Super Bowl. We already saw it.
No, it's the Chiefs.
No,
Lions.
cheap. Ravens, Lions. What wasn't it? Ravens, Lions.
Look at the colors for the Super Bowl. Look at the colors for the Super Bowl.
Red and purple.
Red and purple.
So people saying Niners.
Yeah, but it was didn't somebody say a newscast in Alaska? Some shit
49ers, 49ers, Ravens, Super Bowl halftime show on February 11th will be Reba McEntire and Usher and somebody else.
Yeah, but here's the thing: would the NFL really not try to get the extra exposure from the Swifties?
I hope that's dead and buried.
Listen, I mean, you know what's crazy is I saw bits and pieces of that game. Every time Travis Kelce did anything, they showed her, and I'm like, talk about her, dude.
No, but not even when he didn't do anything. Like when they won the game, they went to the booth, the suite, to see what they were doing.
Don't be his brother. His brother's. I want to see his brother's titties more than I want to see hers.
Yeah, his brother was. He's an Eagle, but like I cannot hate that man. I'm a Giants.
You remind me of Burt Kreischer.
He's one of the coolest guys ever. He took his shirt off.
He's enjoying life.
For his brother.
He's enjoying life, dude. He's like having a great time with all of this.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't know if you heard their podcast recently, but he was talking about how his wife was like, "We're meeting Taylor for the first time. Please be on your best behavior." And he's like, "I'm in Buffalo. Like, this is my best behavior. Like, this is the best." He goes, "I met you." I think the first time he met his wife, he blacked out drunk at the bar and fell asleep. And he's like, "That was my first impression with you. So what do you think I'm going to do with her?" He's like, "I'm taking this shirt off. This is coming off. This is Bill's Mafia." He goes, I got to match their intensity.
No,
he was cool. He picked up one of the girls who had a sign for Taylor Swift and showed her to Taylor Swift, which is pretty nice.
I hate that expression, Bill's Mafia. There's no mafia in fucking Buffalo.
We're not talking about this again. You do this every fucking week.
I fucking hate that. All right, people from Buffalo. I saw
TJ mute him. Can you read him?
I saw a poll from somebody asking about who the best fans were. Some Giants fan was like, "Here's the tier of fans," and top tier, of course, were fucking Giants fans who are fucking racist. So I don't know where they got that from. And the bottom tier was like, they don't have fans, and he picked the Jets. And I was like, "Are you fucking stupid? Like, how fucking stupid could you possibly be?" When the Jets had rookies of the week.
If you listen to most of the Jet fans, they do hate the Jets most of the
time. No, but to sit there and say they don't have fans is crazy.
I'm joking.
Especially when, like, whenever we had a rookie of the week candidate, we won. They literally could have caught one ball for 3 yards. They were winning rookie of the week.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and then they put the Dolphins as like number 2 of like the best fans, really, really great fans. Dolphins fans are the only fans that have 2 murders on the season. Dolphins fans literally killed 2 fans of opposing teams this season. Great guys down there in Miami. Great. Phenomenal. They murdered a guy in New England, and then they shot somebody in the parking lot of their own stadium in Miami.
Bills game.
A Bills fan, yep. So they murdered 2 rival fans. Yeah, fucking great fans down there. Class acts down there in Miami.
These guys know how to party or what?
Murdered 2 people. Oh, yeah, they're right there. Giants, Dolphins fans. That makes sense. Racists, murderers.
No, whoa. I don't like if you're labeling Giants fans as racist, all right?
I was going to say, you know what?
Yeah.
I question, with all this Taylor Swift nonsense, I honestly question any guy that goes on like those dating websites to try to pick up a chick. If you want to meet single 30-something-year-old women that are just willing and eager, to say something negative about Taylor Swift, you'll get an argument with like 50 of them. You just pick one that you want to take on a date.
I said
every time we rip into Taylor Swift, we get like 50 negative comments and people trying to cancel us, and it's like, I pissed off this poor girl. It's probably freshman year. She's got enough going on in her life, going through, it's a 38-year-old woman who have 4 cats. You
pick one out and you just say, hey, we could do this conversation over dinner. That's how.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me in person why Taylor's so awesome and amazing?
Awesome. Maybe I'll change our mind.
Championship week. Who do you guys think is winning these? I'm going Niners and Ravens Super Bowl.
I'm going Ravens Lions only because I want to see the Lions there. I think I
want to see the Lions there, but I don't think the NFL is going to allow it.
But I think with the Niners, I don't think Brock Purdy, he didn't have a good game last week, so I feel like if he comes out playing shit again and they have no Deebo Samuel, the Lions have a real good shot at winning that game. And I don't know, the Ravens, I think the Ravens defense is just so good, and I feel like they could probably handle that Patrick Mahomes offense. I know they put up points against the Bills, but they didn't really have much in wide receiver. I mean, they had What's his name stepped up? Mecole Hardman. Did you see his stat line? He had like 2 catches, 2 fumbles, and -1 yards. Like, I don't know. If Kadarius Toney comes back, he's probably going to fuck up somehow. They really have just Travis Kelce. You shut down Travis Kelce, and they don't have much else.
Well, they could run the ball too with
Pacheco.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could, but so the Ravens can run the ball too. Ravens a good running ball team. So I probably would take the under. The over right now is being hammered by everyone, 44.5, but I might go under in that. If it's a lot of running game from both sides, the clock's gonna be running. So
yeah, I think everybody that's not a Kansas City fan is rooting for the Ravens, right? It's just everybody's sick of KC.
You can't be rooting for Taylor Swift, Jackson Mahomes, and Brittany Mahomes. You just can't.
Like Travis Kelce with the poster boy being the vaccine nonsense. That's so just please stop. It's so whatever. Everybody's over it.
Is it CBS? Is it Tony Romo?
I don't know.
Is it Tony Romo? Is like, did you see Patrick Mahomes?
I know.
I don't know.
Oh my God! But at least I respect Tony Romo's opinion, right? You know, like Tony Romo does. He knows the fucking game of football. He knows the X's and O's.
He does.
Like, he has that shit down.
Him and Mark Sanchez, the two of the few Mexicans. Him, Mark Sanchez, and Jim Plunkett, the only 3 Mexican quarterbacks. Oh, and Jeff Garcia. It's another sad night without hockey.
TJ's prediction.
Yeah, I didn't even get to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going the easy choice. I think the 49ers. While I would like to see Detroit continue their Cinderella story, I think the 49ers are just a better team.
So Niners Ravens or
Niners Ravens.
Oh,
already been predicted by everybody. All right, they made the fucking Super Bowl colors, the Niners and Ravens colors, like before the season even started. What's next year's colors?
That was before they knew about Taylor Swift, though. So
I mean, that's coordinated too, so they could sell more vaccines to the Swifties.
That's true.
But hockey, let's see. We're running out of time. We got to talk some hockey.
All right. Talk some
listen, New York Rangers are struggling right now, and when I say struggling, it's funny. Me and my father bullshit about this all the time. They're back in their win-loss kind of mode, and it's fucking annoying because you know what? When we went on such a tear in the beginning of the season to go into this again. The Rangers need to go on a little winning streak, like a 5-gamer, you know, just to get their legs back underneath them and get, you know, the wind back in their sails. But I hate the New York media because now the second they start to struggle, and again, they're not really struggling. We're not like on a 5-game losing streak. We're just trading wins and losses, and it's irritating, right? That's not where they should be. They're supposed to be a team picked. You know, the odds makers are saying that they're top 5 to make the Stanley Cup finals, right? And they're not playing like that team. And that's what I think frustrates Rangers fans, right? We don't get to see that level of – we don't get to see the Rangers play like that Avalanche style of this team is fucking dominating everybody, nobody's stopping them. Every time the Rangers get rolling and we're like, oh, there's nothing stopping this team, they stumble and fall. And that's why as fans, it's annoying to do that, you know, 500 hockey. They're better than that. It's not going to help them at all in the fucking standings. They're going to make the playoffs either way at this point, unless something major happens, right? It's hockey. Everybody makes the fucking playoffs. But it's what they do from here. And I said, you know what? If they're going to play 500 hockey here on out and then always win 1st to 7 in the playoffs, I don't care. I'll take it. But it's just like, just dominate for half a season or a full season. Just please be that team that everybody's like, nobody's touching these guys.
You know what though? I feel like if they were that team that nobody's touching these guys, they go to the playoffs and get bounced out in the first round.
Listen, probably, especially, you know, I'm a pessimist, so I can get on board with that. But it's just what irritates me more, like I was saying, is the New York media. They're already starting with the Lafreniere's not finishing, and is his time in New York over? It's like, who else isn't finishing on this fucking team? Is Hedl and Capo Caco exactly where you thought they'd be in this season, coming off an injury? Like, cut the fucking shit.
It was good to see Caco come back from injury and immediately score a goal in the first game.
100%. That's exactly what he needed to get going, right? That's what you want to see. But I just hate how the media is so set to turn on one of these young kids and ship them out of town. And it's funny because nobody talks about what the Rangers have been struggling on defense. That's what they've been doing. everybody's just getting past the defense. And I'm sorry, Keandre Miller needs to get moved. He's not the same fucking guy. He's not. His value is still high. He's a young guy. Fucking move him now. The Rangers have depth at defense. We could fucking bring up plenty of people, right? We could bring up Jones and call it a day. I'm sick of seeing Keandre Miller not be the player that he was for the first year and a half of his career, where it was like, this kid's a fucking stud. How are we going to hang on to him, and pay his contract long enough to keep him here to do something special? And now it's just, he's not that guy. But the media will focus on Lafreniere. It's like, we get it. He was a high draft pick. You know what? Not everybody's going to be Connor McDavid and score fucking 40 goals. It's not going to happen. I happen to think that Lafreniere is having an up year so far this year.
I agree.
And you're taking that positivity and turning it into negative, and I can't stand it.
Rook, thoughts?
No, I think I'm annoyed about Keandre Miller. I wish he played better. And that's annoying. Kako needs to get going. Hedel, is he ever coming back? Is he just
20? I think January 27th he's due to come off IR.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed too. I'm with TJ with this. I'm so annoyed about the trading losses. The West Coast trip was fucking disaster.
It's a disaster from Jump Street because we can't even get to watch it because I'm not staying up till 10 o'clock to start a game.
Well, I was watching like the first couple periods, and I'm like, this fucking sucks. I'm going to bed. Tired.
Dude, the San Jose game was.
It's just they went against the Golden Knights. They got blown out 5-1, and then you're losing to overtime games against San Jose Sharks. And
they lost, and they were winning the game 2-0.
You win the game 2-0. You go to overtime, you lose 3-2. It's just it was an infuriating trip. Hopefully, they get a little time off here. When's the All-Star break is coming soon, right? A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe they turn it back on. Maybe they regroup and get a little better. But I mean, I'm not hitting no panic button because they're
not at all.
Losses.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good they came out with a tear earlier on in the season because this would be brutal if they started off shitty as well.
Right, but the Rangers have that ability to try to like in a game when they have a 1-goal lead, they want to fucking try to ride it out and make it last. And if the Rangers are going to try to ride the coattails of their early success and just coast into the playoffs, it's not going to be a good look for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be one and done if they do that again. But I think they just gotta regroup.
It'd be nice to get a high spot in the fucking playoffs and play a fucking 8 seed, right? To play a fucking shit team that you should roll through instead of going every fucking year. The first round of the playoffs, we go 7. It's just never ending.
You never have a quick 5 game.
No, never. You never get out of a series with fucking Ryan Lindgren not fucking hobbling and like, I'll be all right. Yeah. All fucked up and shit. Like, I think the man deserves it.
Yeah, he's the man. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating right now, but I think they'll turn it around. Maybe when Panarin has his kid, he'll get some extra dad strength and just kick over the league again.
Rock his New Balance to the arena.
Panarin is already carrying the squad.
I'm just saying, like, he can't really complain about him. He's doing awesome all year.
He's doing great.
I'm just joking.
But that's never. It's always the case. It's the regular season isn't his problem. It's the postseason. It's getting him to break through that barrier that seems to be only in his head.
Yeah,
because he goes hot, ice cold.
The biggest thing is. Some players that were playing very well when the season started have become hot and cold. Vinny Trocheck started the season off phenomenally. Jimmy Vesey. Did I say I said Vinny Trocheck, right? I'm not crazy, right?
Yeah, Vincent Trocheck. Yeah.
All right, good. Vinny Trocheck. I'm like, did I say Jimmy Trocheck? No, Jimmy Vesey started off the season very hot. Now he's up and down. He'll go a game where he scores 2 goals and then he won't score a goal for 4 games.
That's Jimmy Vesey's, like, in a nutshell. Trocheck has been on fire, is still playing well. The thing with Trocheck is you can look past the bad penalties that he takes because that guy is a penalty magnet. If you're scoring a goal a game,
give it away.
Right.
He'll get a point and then give it away. And it's like, all right, dude, like, I get it. You scored a goal, phenomenal. You just gave one up.
That's the penalties are his downfall. But listen, he wins faceoffs and he can score.
I agree. I think we're looking for a little bit more from Mika. And Shesterkin needs to be more consistent as well.
100%.
Yeah.
But that wraps up our show this week. We're out of time. We've got about
Whiskey
30
of the week
seconds
is Buffalo Trace.
Honestly, I was drinking Woodford Reserve and it was delicious. I had an old fashioned Woodford style. Rook, were you drinking anything tonight?
No, I got home late and then I had hang out with the kids.
You need to drink
Single
more.
barrel select.
That's all we got for you. We'll catch you again next week. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Peace.